Absolutely.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And it's Saturday, so that must mean it must be Star Trek time. So, with me today, so far, I have Skeptalk and Hammer, and Irate should be joining us soon. But how are you two doing?
I'm doing great. Skeptic's doing better.
Yeah, I'm doing better. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm happy. I watched the episodes and certainly have opinions about all of them.
I actually watched them all too. Isn't that amazing?
There's still a little gravel in your voice. You know that?
A little
In,
bit.
in mine,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's kind of nice.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks.
A little bit of a growl.
Rawr.
The Love Master is here, coming to you live.
I am now deaf.
But so we're doing Hammer's top picks for Deep Space Nine, which since he doesn't like Deep Space Nine, was very these were great picks. And
I allowed the room to pick stuff and not be spiteful about it.
yes,
I originally was going to be. My first thought. That's the reason why I didn't get this information to you until Friday.
yeah,
Is because I struggled at the beginning with making the last episode my favorite, just because it marked the last of the fucking episodes. I will never have to see the show again. It's going off the air. I love this episode. You know, I wanted to be like that, but I was like, no. There were actual episodes in here that were good. I have to be fair and mature and bite my tongue a little bit.
well, and
So
I think you picked good ones. Hammer picked The Visitor from season 4, Children of Time from season 5, and The Valiant from season 6. And
That was another thing I wanted
welcome
to do.
to Irate, or welcome to Irate Prostate.
Hello.
yeah, right.
Hey, Pete, how's it going?
Sorry I'm late, y'all.
No,
It's okay.
We're just telling
So-
which episodes Hammer's picked.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah, come on.
literally introducing everything, so it's,
So-
we're not too late.
That was another qualifier, by the way, is that the episodes had to be in different seasons. Yeah,
Makes sense.
I didn't want to, because I could just say, oh, let me take the first 3 in season 4 and just be done with it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, The Way of the Warrior is a good episode. And it's the first time Worf shows up, so it's,
Yeah.
But so The Visitor is it does go a bit slow. To summarize it, Jake Sisko is an old man, and he is visited by an aspiring writer, a young lady, who read all of his stories and wants to know why he stopped writing.
Jake Sisko, played by
Kern.
Worf's brother.
Yes. Who is an amazing actor.
Yes,
Yes, he is.
that was really the
That
primary.
was the high
reason.
point.
It
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
Tony Todd was a killer.
Yeah, and there was a lot of great acting in the episode, so it kind of pulled me in. It is number 3 on my list of my favorites.
So it's the least.
It is the
The
least
least
favorite
liked.
because it is a bit plotting. Yeah, you're right. It's a little slow.
It is slow, but holy crap! Oh
It's
man.
intense.
It is intense. It's intense emotionally, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciated that. What I thought it lacked was it needed one significant subplot to jump back and forth to have something going on that was somehow related to Jake being gone. Because the way that felt like was a guy telling a really long, fairly interesting story, but taking way too long to tell it.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. If we
And,
had,
but that said, I loved the acting by that guy, the guy who played Jake, the
oh
older Jake.
yeah, Kern, yeah.
Yeah, he's God. That guy, you know, that guy can act
He can.
just straight up, and yeah, he really put forth the emotion.
The grieving
I-
son.
I believed it.
Yeah.
I bought that whole part, and it's just that there wasn't enough of that. Well, I needed some counterpoint. It was like eating a steak with nothing else.
Yeah.
I needed some salad or something. That's
Yeah.
the way I felt about it.
And the reason it's so emotional, chat, is because Jake, and there was some sort of time screw up on the Defiant, or the warp, I think it was a warp drive malfunction or
Yeah,
something.
it was an anomaly that was created by something in the warp core.
And Ben Sisko ends up just disappearing.
Caused by the wormhole.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Bajoran wormhole was about to undergo a subspace inversion. During this inversion,
Correct.
where anomalies and temporal fluctuations were going to occur, creating a spectacle that the Elder Sisko did not want his son to miss, and so that's why they were observing. I was reading that out of Memory Alpha.
And then so this causes Ben Sisko to basically just disappear. And
he's thrown into subspace, yes.
Yeah. And periodically he can appear again, I think, is how it was going. I think it was how it was presented. But Jake basically he gave up writing so that he could fix. He was researching basically how to fix the problem. And he came up with the solution that, well, he would just have to die. And Sisko, I can't remember if he had a device on him. I think he did. It was this was kind of a visual part at the end. Because this whole story is, Jake is basically getting ready to die because he knows that at a certain time his father will reemerge from subspace and he'll be able to send him back
to the point where he diverged. Yeah.
And it's so, the actor who did Elder Jake, you could
Tony Todd is the actor's
Tony,
name.
yeah, Tony Todd. The grieving son.
Wow.
He played it so well. And then when Avery Brooks comes back in at the end, and he realizes what Jake is doing, right? He's you can tell there's no as a father, he's I'm this is my boy. I'm just look at what he's doing for me, and now we get to Jake is go back and be with me, and spend just both of them were. That was what was hard for me to watch.
He wants grandchildren, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty clear, wasn't it?
Yeah. I want grandchildren. Yeah. But the scene between those two at the end, between Tony and Avery Brooks, I ugly cried. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
You fell apart. Okay.
I ugly cried. It was the same with Hard Time, with Dax's choice, with the O'Brien thing. There are some episodes of Deep Space Nine that I watched that I'm just like, oh God damn, my feelings.
Now you're allowed to go emo over this. That just means it's well crafted.
Yeah, I think
it
so.
told a story that meant something to you.
It was written by a woman.
Really?
I don't know.
Or it was written by a woman.
I was being sarcastic.
You were. It was, but it's, and I do agree with you though, Hammer. It did kind of, in places.
It was written by Michael Taylor.
But in places it did kind of drag.
Yeah.
And I think that's my only complaint about this episode, is that it did drag a little bit.
It seemed to drag most when they were dealing with young Jake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
He's just, his walking around the promenade in a funk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got tired of that.
Yeah.
I got tired of that. And that's where you could have inserted a very nice little subplot of some kind.
Yeah. Well, something I noticed was that a majority of these episodes did not involve the main cast.
Well, Children of Time did.
Well, yeah, I know. The second one, was, focused specifically on the cast. But I thought it was interesting because Hammer had always said that this was his least favorite. And it was like, it's like Tony Todd, man, he just stole that whole fucking
He
thing.
did.
Yeah, well, it's a special place in my heart because of Kern. So,
No shit. Yeah, the Kern thing too.
yeah, I couldn't hold DS9 against the show because it really wasn't that much about DS9. It was mostly about Kern. And Kern's a favorite from TNG. So, like I said, it really is. These are TNG episodes that just happen to be existing in the DS9 universe.
Yeah.
I see the consistency. And has anybody ever seen his portrayal of Candyman?
No.
Yeah, I have that movie.
That is an incredible. He made that movie, right?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
It's a great film.
A good actor can do that.
Yes.
One comment I wanted to make was the little foil at the beginning. What was her name? Melanie.
I think so.
The blonde chick?
aspiring.
Yeah, the blonde chick. And there was an exchange that I really loved. She said, "You're my favorite author of all time," or something to that effect. And he says, "You should read more."
That was cool.
I like the way that they wrote that in because, when Jake was young Jake would have been like, "Oh my God, thank you."
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But older Jake got a little bit of his daddy in him.
Yep. Yes, very and he's
that's
self-deprecating too, which is always attractive.
It is, but that is something Ben would have said.
Yes, very much so.
It's like, and it's really well crafted that they've kind of given older Jake some of the mannerisms.
Yeah, it knits in the story very
Ben.
nicely.
Yeah,
it really adds to the credibility. Yeah, that was nice. I like that.
Because young Jake would not have said that.
No.
Young Jake would have been like, "Oh my God, some hot chick thinks I'm a good writer." because I'm sorry, but teenage Jake is. I just want to take him and shake him really hard.
He's a little asshole, which is what you have to look forward to, by the way.
Oh yes, I know.
I've raised more than my share.
Oh. But yeah, I think this was a good episode. It does drag, like I said, but with Tony Todd there, and then the reunion between him and Avery Brooks at the end, I think it's a good, solid episode. I would have liked to see Ben in subspace, honestly. As the other subplot. I would have been interested.
Yeah, that could have been very interesting.
That would have been interesting to see Ben,
what's he doing there? What's going on?
What's he doing? Is he trying to? Of course, he's trying to get back, but is he?
Is he communing with the prophets? What's shaking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering why. Go ahead.
I was just going to make the comment that the memorial service for Ben Sisko, and Kara gets up. I forget the line that she delivered, but it was utterly without emotion. It was just like, he was a friend of mine, or he was my friend, or something like that. and she said it as though she was reading a shopping list. And I just thought to myself, this is why I hate Kara. Shut the fuck up.
And
I don't believe you for an instant.
Well, and what's pissed me off about that was she is devoutly religious.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
She has even talked about how it's weird for her to have her captain as her emissary.
Right.
And for her at the memorial service of her said captain and emissary, she's like, yeah, he was really close to me and stuff.
Yeah, he was my friend. And he was my friend and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
really?
What?
What? You just shut up. Sit down and shut up. Just go away. So anyway, that was a nice rabbit turd in the oatmeal bowl. But other than that, I say this was my least favorite of the three. It still was a good episode just for Mr. Todd's acting.
Yes.
And just for that, it's worth watching.
Agreed.
It just needed pacing help. It needed some plot help, and Kira should have been written out of the whole goddamn thing.
Yeah.
as she
But
should have.
they should have made Dax's. When Kira got up, I'm like, really? They're not gonna let Dax
Yeah, God, that
fucking
was
talk?
yeah. What about
Really?
the old man?
Yeah,
You're
of
not gonna
all
let the old
people,
man
right.
talk? Fuck. Yes, exactly. That I actually thought that too. I thought,
That didn't
well,
fit in.
surely Dax is going to talk. I can't believe they're wasting screen time on Kira.
Yeah.
Kira reads her shopping list, and then we go on to the next scene.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It would have been a lot more poignant
Yeah.
had they
Yes.
let Jadzia speak.
Yes, but it would have meant something. Plus, would have been better acted.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. All
I
right.
agree on that one.
Are we moving on?
Do we have
Did
unless
we beat
have
that one to death?
unless we have anything else to talk about with that one?
Because we're
Let's move
getting
on.
to my favorite one.
Yeah, the Children of Time was great. I think
God, I
we're gonna.
love this episode.
I think we're probably gonna spend most of the stream talking about this one because there's so much going on,
This is rich. This was a rich episode.
and there's only two settings. There's only two settings in the entire episode,
Good writing.
but there's
It's just
so
good.
much happening.
It's
That's
like
a
old school
lot.
TOS.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, absolutely, it was. Absolutely. The parallel universe aspect to it, with the branching off and uh, where do you start? I mean, they did a great job of world building.
They did.
I believe that world,
Yep.
and
it's-
I'm a tough sell.
So, really quick to summarize, the Children of Time is about the Defiant is going on a survey mission of their exploratory Gamma Quadrant mission, and they're heading home, and Dax picks up some anomalous readings in a nearby solar system, and they discover there's a planet with some kind of quantum energy barrier around it. And Dax is really interested, and she wants to check it out, and she convinces everybody that they should go check it out, even though they really, really want to go home. And they, pop through this barrier. Kira gets hurt by an energy discharge, which is important. And poof, they're in orbit of a planet with 8,000 inhabitants claiming to be descendant from them. And they find out that 2 days from the time they enter orbit, they will try and leave, the Defiant will crash, and they will be stranded back in time 200 years. And the episode basically is about them figuring out, is there a way for us to go home and not kill 8,000 people? And if so, how do we do that? And the way that this was just played out was great. The differences of opinion was awesome. Because I find that a lot in like TNG and stuff like that, there isn't really very many disagreements among the cast unless you make like an episode about it. Right?
Right.
Like the episode when Sarek comes aboard and everyone's beating the shit out of each other. Or Night Terrors, where everyone's going crazy. There's a plot, but they don't. When something's going on and they're solving it, there isn't really much disagreement
Or heated discussion.
or
right?
heated. It's like, we need to do this. Okay.
It's a good observation.
But in this episode, the crew is legitimately. There are scenes
Conflicted.
when they are pissed off at each other.
Yep.
Like legit pissed off at each other.
Well, there's just a lot on the line. You're
Yeah.
talking about people's lives here. It's
I
you're
love-
messing with the primordial,
I love
Yeah.
the one line from O'Brien where, because Worf is like, Kira's just telling us that because Kira finds out that in order for, the reason that this happens, or they have to go back to the station because her neural pathways have been disrupted by the energy burst that she was hit with. And basically, if Kira dies, it's basically whether Kira lives or dies is impinged on whether the colony lives or dies.
Yeah, it's Kira's life versus the colony, which,
Yeah.
by the way, for me would have been an easy.
Well, and but the one thing is, the funny line that I love in this one scene is they're trying to decide whether or not they should try and return. And Worf is like, well, if Kira's willing to die, like, we should respect that, and, it's obviously
that.
our destiny.
Yeah.
Right? It's our and Miles looks at him and goes, well, that's easy for you to say. You barely see your kid. Like, God damn, Miles.
Kind of surprised Worf didn't just deck him right out of
Thrown.
nowhere.
Yeah,
I mean,
well-
a human would do it. You can imagine a Klingon holding himself back.
Well,
Alexander's far better off with his mother.
I want to point out a line that is before they even get to the surface. It's during the hail when they put him on screen, and this is the mark of quality writing as far as I'm concerned. See, on the view screen, a human woman and a Trill man welcome them to Gaia, calling Captain Sisko by name. The woman says that they have been expecting them. The man speaks up, saying it's a long story, and invites them to beam down and talk about it over some Rakajina.
Yeah.
And then catches himself. I forgot you're trying to cut down. I love that. That was just witty writing, and it's so cool that he would remember that after all those years, because that's how he knew that. He wasn't listening in to them on the bridge. He remembered that throughout the years.
Only he could, because he's Dax.
Yeah.
Everyone else was great grandfathers. They would never remember a minutial detail like that.
Exactly. There were two beings who were the same beings that they were aboard the ship, and that's the Dax, the implant part of the Dax, and Odo.
Yeah. And I love when they get to the surface.
I just love that.
I do too. But I love when they get to the surface.
Yep.
And Yedrin Dax is, oh, Ben, I know that look. I can tell you still don't believe us. How about I tell you something Curzon would know? Remember that dancer? And Ben's like, yes, that will do. That's fine. Just shut up. It's like, I believe you now. Like, it was so, like, the tiny bits of humor in because it was a very serious episode.
Yeah, and Miranda's DNA is similar to Miles, making her an O'Brien. Miranda also states that she is also a Tannenbaum, a descendant of Rita Tannenbaum. And Rita?
Yeah. And then Julie's like, so, you and Rita. And just, I don't want to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Well, because when you're in that sort of weird paradox...
Yeah, well,
what do you do, right?
Yeah, he thinks he may have lost his real family, the family, that he was thinking he was going to return
Keiko
to. Now he's faced with this. It would make anybody a little bit unnerved, and he just expressed it, and that was very believable to me from Miles that it came out as that.
Yeah, I would be the same fucking way. In the same boat.
Anyone else really, really like Worf's demeanor in this episode?
Only when I am angry.
Can he really kill somebody just by looking at them? Only when I am angry.
The great thing is his look at the rest of the people when he goes to answer. Like,
yes,
kind of like, this is going to be tongue in cheek, and I never do tongue in cheek, but here you go.
Yeah, exactly. There was just so much good in this. And that was another great moment that just made me, just love this episode even more. There was another point I wanted to make. I hate being old.
I want to know. I didn't like, the only thing I didn't like about this episode was Kira's obsession with her goddamn grave.
Oh yes.
That was weird.
Oh yes. The absolutely believable prayer scene at the gravesite. yawn. It's just like she was reading it out of a script. Just for
I liked Odo's thing about if the prophets could hear you, I'm sure they'd be very confused.
that was the thing in the scenes between Odo and Kira. Rene Auberjonois, in my opinion, is a fine actor.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, he just, I just love to hear stuff come out of his mouth. It's just great stuff.
I like the way the makeup looked more like the actor.
Yeah.
At this point,
I did too. But I was going to say, in the scenes with him and Kira, it was a contrast in acting ability
Yeah.
with him actually making you feel emotional and making you believe who he was, and Kira just sitting there reading a line.
Yeah, but I mean, he can mimic. All right, he can mimic a fucking like a whole tunic with piping and all this very detailed shit, and then his face looks like a lump of clay where you stuck the thumbs in the eyes and you you just popped a nose, just pulled a little nose out. It's just
I had this exact conversation 2 hours ago with my brother coming home from grocery shopping.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this guy can turn himself into a bird with wings and
with wings
feathers,
and feathers, exactly.
but can't make a nose.
I was never good
was-
at noses.
It was list of reasons why I hate DS9, and that was one of them.
Yeah, that always confused me.
Bullshit. You can't make a nose? Come on. I can be a flower, so you can't even tell that it's not me, but I can't make a nose.
Hasn't he imitated other people? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah, so
Shapeshifter.
you got their noses right.
That's his shtick. He just when it came to himself, he just didn't really care.
Maybe that was like a kind of an insight thing on the character,
No, that is part of Odo's shtick, is that when it comes to himself, he just
He doesn't care much about himself.
yeah, it's like the shoemaker's kids had the worst shoes in town, right? Because
I really think that the writers couldn't get the comprehension that you could be a shapeshifter without looking like a shapeshifter. You have to look different. That way everyone knows that you're a shapeshifter.
Well, and he wouldn't have to sit in makeup for 4 hours every time they
Really,
shoot.
I'm sure he'd be happy.
No,
Yeah,
well, anyway,
all right,
mild complaint.
yeah, fair enough.
And so we find out that
Noted and logged.
so the way to get out of this thing apparently was to make two defiants. This was Yedrin Dax's idea.
Yeah,
And Jadzia discovers that was never gonna work, and Yedrin was just trying to get them to repeat.
Make the same mistake again, yeah.
Yeah. And that leaves us with that was a really interesting scene where he basically turns to Jadzia and says, "This is all your fault. You wanted to look at that planet."
That's right. And
Right,
you
it
didn't exercise enough caution.
It's like, God damn, dude.
well, yeah. So the one on the planet though has been feeling all this guilt for over 200 years,
Yeah.
right? And so I can see why that would make perfect sense to this character.
Yeah.
Yep. That made
You have a
sense.
chance to turn to yourself and go, "Listen, you dumbass."
He's trying to win a fight, though, and he kind of played dirty to do it.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the other, Dax is, surprised that the moral compromise is surprising for the character, nonetheless.
And I like that instead of getting angry, Jadzia got sad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
This is kind of a theme that runs through Star Trek, though. When it comes to time traveling, it seems more important to set things straight than it is to bend. Because you look at some of the other shows where you had the option of leaving things the way they were because that's the way they are, or should we interfere with our own destiny? What's the one with the time machine, Edith Keeler?
Yeah. Classic. Yeah.
Right.
Or
It happened in
the-
TNG, too.
Or yeah, like I was about to say, the episode "A Matter of Time," where that quote unquote historian who
Right.
was stealing.
We're not changing the future, we're correcting the future.
Yeah,
Is
Right.
Picard's point, and that kind of fits here too. That
Well,
those
what-
people
what-
should never have existed in the first place.
Isn't there
Right.
something called the temporal prime directive?
Yes.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, and
Eventually, we'll be at a point where we'll know that that is, but it's not it's not. We as people in this century, in the 24th century, don't know what it's going to be like in the 29th, so where that does exist.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no temporal prime directive yet.
You're right.
But in
There's
the
no
29th century, there will be.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh, that's not true, because temporal investigations have already shown up at Deep Space Nine looking into the troubles, the Tribble
yeah,
thing.
the Tribble thing. That's
Yeah.
right.
And there was a temporal...
Did they mention a temporal prime directive
Yes,
in
they
that
do.
show? They
Yes,
do?
They do.
Yeah,
Yep.
they did.
And in
remember that.
Voyager, there's a temporal prime directive.
Yeah, but not by the crew of Voyager, by the crew of the time ship.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And
it's
Ja-
coming to
but
the-
Admiral Janeway talks about the temporal prime directive too.
Because she's learned about it from the people who are in the future, not because it's something that Starfleet gave her.
Because she fucking hates time shit. You know, that's one thing I do remember about that character. It's
God-forsaken
like,
paradoxes.
she's like, yeah.
I always
okay.
swore I would avoid one of these godforsaken time paradoxes.
I actually loved it when she delivered that line. I thought,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always swore
It's
when I become
unforgettable.
captain, you know, I try to avoid those damn time paradoxes. Like,
Yep.
she just hates it. And then there's another line where Kim is trying to figure out, is he the episode where Kim dies on one Voyager and he gets sent back to the other Voyager.
Yeah, this is not really my crew.
Is this really my and Janeway's like, my best advice on trying to figure this shit out is don't.
Yep.
Just go with it, dude. Just but basically, so they decide that they're going to go back, and they are spending the last day with the colonists, and they're helping them plant. And Worf, I love the tiny subplot between Worf and his descendants.
Yeah.
And they come to him on the eve of the day that everything is supposed to stop, and they basically ask him to perform the Heckboss ceremony, so that they can die with honor instead of waiting, as they put it, waiting to die like animals at the slaughter. And so the day of where everyone's just going on until sunset. Like, they haven't even told the kids, obviously, right? Like, the kids just are,
No, they're
it's planting
yeah,
day.
They're never going to tell them.
And they decide halfway through that we can't let these people die. Like, they've been watching this, they've been helping in the community. They're like, we can't let these people die. And they decide they're going to launch a probe with some farewells for their family, and they're going to reenact the crash. However, that doesn't happen. At the last minute, the Defiant breaks its flight plan for the temporal barrier. And at first, nobody knows what happened. Like, they thought it was Yedrin, right?
Mm-hmm.
For first.
But it turns out.
It's the other Odo from the
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, and he had confessed she found out that Odo was in love with her
Yeah.
from the other Odo.
from the other Odo. Yeah, the other
Yeah,
Odo
they linked.
came. Yeah. Well, no, the other Odo came to Runabout and talked to Kira, and they spent like days together. And then just before the other Odo left the ship, he linked with the original Odo and told him, I love Nerys. Oh, and by the way, to save Nerys's life, I just killed 8,000 people. And then, now you get
did
to
he
tell
kill
him.
them or did he just prevent them from happening?
That's true. That's
You
true.
know, I mean, you know, it's the chicken and egg thing.
But to put
Time
the
shit.
onus on the original Odo, It's like, here, I'm going to tell you everything, including what I've just done. Now you go tell Kira. Have fun. It's like, wow, you really are a changeling, aren't you? Like,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you got to look at some of the stuff that the other Odo did, and
Mm-hmm.
you understand why he did it, but you look at him and you look at the female changeling and you go, kind of similar.
Yeah.
It's an uncomfortable comparison, but it's not wrong.
Yep.
And then, of course, Kira has to act all indignant and shoot the messenger, right? And get mad at Odo, the original Odo who was in stasis and didn't do a goddamn thing. 8,000 people! Why? Why would you do that? Well, and he goes, well,
Love.
because he loved you. That makes it right?
Yes.
He's like, I don't know.
To him it
He
does.
thought so.
Yeah.
And that was a great way to say it. It's like, I don't know, but he thought so. Right? And then he just goes, I'll see you in the morning. And just leaves, right? Like, what else can you say, right?
Yeah. It wasn't him,
No.
but it was him. But it really wasn't him, but it was him.
Yeah. Exactly. It was a really, really tight and well done episode.
Yeah. Except it had Kira saying things like, praying over your own grave, that's got to be a new one.
I think. Maybe.
Jeez, just a little
You're,
bit of
you're a better actor
expression.
than she is.
Just a little bit of expression in your voice. Please,
Yeah.
just give us a bone. Throw us a bone.
And then when
Make
she
an
has
effort.
the expression in her voice, it's like screechy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
or
when she's
it's
yelling
so fakey.
at
It's,
the end, where she, 8,000 people!
Yeah,
Like,
not believable
Yeah.
at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like the drama coach taught me in high school.
mm-hmm.
You know, jeez, dude. Ugh.
Other than that, though, great episode. I despite Kira, it was a great episode, I
Yep.
think. And
I like the sentiment. They existed as long as we remember them.
yes,
They always will. And that
yes,
that
they
was,
existed
I
as long
really
as we
like that.
remember them. I like that.
yeah, that made me happy.
I've heard that in other Star Trek.
Yes, that's
You
very
did?
TOS. That's very TOS.
I just looked up Nana Visitor
Yeah.
on the IMDb, and she's got something coming
Back
out
up here,
next week.
Sorry.
What?
Sorry, I've got Alex and Pincalo in here.
Hey, Pincalo, back up your mic a little bit, IP. You're overdriving.
Pincalo is pouring me some wine.
I thought you
Ooh.
were trying to cut down.
I thought I was going to cut.
Some of the Beaujolais.
Yeah, we got a new corkscrew today and a Red Devil to put in the bottle after.
There you go.
So we're good.
So what were you saying, IP?
Yeah, I was just saying that I was on the Nana Visitors IMDb page,
Oh,
and yeah, she's got a TV movie coming out next month. I mean next year.
really?
Yeah, she's got last thing she's credited for. I don't know. This all looks like just TV for movie stuff. I guess she's a Hallmark type.
Well,
You know.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
So are we ready to move on to the Valiant?
Yes.
Nana.
Yes.
All right.
Onto the Valiant.
Let's move on to the ship full of teenagers, shall we?
Yes.
So
You
this
call it,
ep-
I call it a ship full of testosterone.
yeah.
Yeah. All of that.
So this episode is centered around Jake and Nog. Nog is supposed to be delivering a message to the Negus, and Jake goes along with him, and not as a reporter, but really as a reporter. And they almost make it to Starbase when the Jem'Hadar show up, and they attempt to outrun the Jem'Hadar in a runabout. and one Jem'Hadar ship decides that they are worth chasing. So they get chased into Dominion space and into basically a fire, like a shooting gallery for the Jem'Hadar, right? And they get saved by a ship called the USS Valiant, which happens to be another Defiant class, or as they call it, M class.
And they are
ship.
beamed aboard that ship.
And they are beamed aboard that ship. And they get met by this chick who can't be more than freaking 19 or 20 years old.
I wouldn't have pegged her at that. I would say like 15.
Yeah, I thought
Really?
she was 14 or 15.
You think
exactly
so?
what I
Young,
thought,
yeah.
too. Yeah, I couldn't
Well,
understand.
because Starfleet cadets, you have to be 16 to enter Starfleet.
Yeah, I'm
so
just
they
saying.
can't be older
looked,
than that.
She looked so young, though.
Yeah.
Why? Anyway.
Oh, okay, so she sounded young too. Like
Yeah,
she's-
yeah, she did very much so.
So they get taken aboard this ship, and it is crewed by cadets because all of the grand total of 7 officers that were placed on this ship to observe the cadets, and as they it was basically a training ship. All 7 actual officers were killed 8 months ago in a battle with the Jem'Hadar. And now they are literally a ship of cadets. And the all given field commissions, all given field promotions. And the captain of the ship is a megalomaniac drug addict.
Speed freak.
No shit.
He's popping methadone.
Yeah.
Or it's, they call it something else, but it's basically speed.
Cortico something or other
Yeah,
stimulant. Yeah. Thank you. So
he's well down the road toward crazy.
oh my god, he's listening to everybody.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where Jake, like, cause Jake for once has his head out of his ass, and it's like, this is not right. Like this is, cause eventually the actual captain, before he died, was given orders to observe and collect data on a new Dominion battleship.
Yeah, the recently deceased actual Starfleet officer,
Yes.
Captain Ramirez.
Yes.
Can I ask y'all a question here,
No
though?
worries.
Sure.
All right, so wouldn't a diplomatic mission trump any type of military mission?
It depends. It depends if there's hostilities going on.
Yeah.
Depends what the purpose of the diplomatic mission is.
Yeah.
I think also because they were chased so far away from where they were supposed to be, and Jake and Nog are both themselves teenagers.
Right.
So even if the authority holders are your age, especially Nog because he's a Starfleet cadet, when you see authority, you at that age you respect it, right? You don't go, wait a minute, I need to get to the Grand Nagus.
Yeah, this dude's impressive, right? Yeah, the captain was definitely, had him, impressed, and
Yeah.
yeah, and of course, and the female officer too. I think had something.
Oh,
to do
she
with
was just as batshit as the frickin' captain was.
Yeah, she was bought in completely. And
Yeah.
I was wondering if she was on the happy pills also.
I know, right?
She
Because
That was probably the best part of the episode for me, was watching Admiral Nechev's little daughter getting destroyed. I was kind of like, good. That's exactly what you get for being the bitch that you are.
That's exactly.
You
Well,
end up dead.
it was. So we've got
She was an extreme bitch too.
It was, yeah.
was.
She
She's
was.
Admiral Nechev's daughter.
Yeah.
I missed that. That's great.
That-
Makes so
that-
much sense. The girl looks like her kind of.
I was just making fun of her. I didn't mean that like she actually was.
Oh, I thought it
I was
was
just
her.
no, I was just making fun of her that she acts
She
just
kind of
like
looked like she
just
did.
like Lana Nechev.
Yeah,
does.
Acts just like her. I was like,
get any
"Yeah,
backstory
that's
on
the same
her.
girl."
I don't think you got any backstory on her.
I don't think so either.
So we first start to observe the insanity when Jake gets reamed out for daring to speak to an officer about home. And like I almost thought that the chief petty officer was gonna get in trouble for crying. Like, because when the captain came into sickbay, he's like, "Have you been crying?"
Yeah.
It's like,
Yes.
whoa,
There's
dude.
no crying in baseball.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
we see not like we get this whole speech by the captain about how we've gotten our data on this battleship and we can go home now, but I think we should destroy this battleship because we're Red Squad.
Red Squad, Red Squad, Red Squad. They all start chanting.
And
Yeah.
then frickin'
Heil Hitler, Heil
and
Hitler.
Nog,
Yeah, I
When-
got
and
it.
then
I definitely
Nog
nonsense
starts
thing too.
chanting, right? And
Yeah.
Right.
you can just and Jake again, freaking finally has his head out of his ass, and he's like, "You all know who my father is, right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't do this."
Yeah, that was kind of like a smackdown. Look,
Yeah.
folks, I know what I'm talking about. You all are idiots because my dad is Cisco and he rocks. Therefore, because I'm his son, I know better than you trained people do.
Yeah, right.
Well, but in this case, he was right.
He was.
He was like, "You guys are freaking crazy," and the other thing that shows that how crazy this captain is Jake goes to confront Nog, right, about what's going on, and we switch to the captain's quarters, and he's listening. He's got the internal freaking
Yeah.
comms
sensors.
open.
Yeah, he's watching everybody.
and he's watching everybody. And he and freaking Jake gets thrown in the brig because of something the captain overhears.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus, like holy crap! And then of course they all go and attack this. They go and attack this battleship, and they use Nog's manually targeted torpedo with a radiogenic warhead.
And they make a direct hit
And
where
they
they
make a-
want to hit. And
it didn't
I
work.
love the line which said it didn't work. What happened? It didn't work.
That was brilliant writing because it's, you know how when you have kids that have this plan, this brilliant plan,
Yeah.
and it works, and then it works, and then it works, and then it works, and then crash.
Yeah.
And the kid, all the kid can do is go, it didn't work.
Yeah. That was just very believable.
It was like, oh shit, we're a bunch of teenagers in a fucking space battle here.
Yeah, we're about to get our asses
We're
kicked.
done, right? Like,
Oh, quick to the escape pods.
I'm thinking to myself that that's a regular crew. Not only they have the attack planned, but they have their escape planned.
yeah.
Yes.
And they don't sit there
A
to
plan
watch.
C, a plan D, and a plan E.
Yeah, they don't sit there and watch to see if their plan worked.
No.
They make the strike and they get the fuck out of there.
Yes, that's
Right.
You know, that's how a real crew would do it.
that's how a
Run.
U.S. Navy ship works. That's exactly what you do. Hit and run. Stick and move. Stick and move.
Yeah.
You know, you don't just sit there like.
If you want to see what's
ship
happening
movies.
after you fight, then you drop a probe, but that you can monitor from a distance. But you don't just sit there and let's park ourselves in front of their weapons and see the pretty display. No, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Here, just stand. We'll just stand here. Go ahead and shoot at us. Hi.
A lot of directions to go in space.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good point.
365 degrees of them, in fact.
Yeah, cubed.
Yeah. So
Actually,
it's
squared actually.
so the freaking you know, of course we have, yeah, obviously we have the Nog and Jake get away because they're Nog and Jake, and you can't kill Nog and Jake. But like, just the just watching the whole it reminded me of Alex and Logan at that space battle. It's like, oh no, it's broken. Like I got reminded of my own kids, just like it didn't work.
We are so screwed.
Amazing. The best line from the show is the last line with Nog and the 15-year-old CPO. She's trying to defend her captain still, even after he killed everybody. And he says, well, he might have been a hero and a good man, but he was a bad captain. And you couldn't have said it any better than that.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Because he probably was a good guy before
The drugs.
the war started.
And ego?
He started taking drugs and all. Like he might have been a good cadet, right? He may have shaped up to be a good leader, but he just
Guys like that, we used to see them in OCS. They get identified as hotheads.
Yeah.
And, they don't generally have spectacular careers.
And if they're not fighter pilots, man, they're worthless.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
'cause
They're
they're only gonna-
fighter pilots with gigantic egos, but the ship drivers tend to not have them.
yeah.
Right, exactly. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, ship drivers are very patient.
You want a
very-
surgeon
very
or
calculating.
a fighter pilot to have a
Yeah,
fucking
very
cocky
very
ass.
calculating. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I loved about that was you had time to plan things.
Execute them.
These were, like I said, these were all great choices, and
Yeah, fine choices,
Yeah.
excellent choices. Very good. So where do we go from here?
Voyager.
That's Voyager over in France.
I
Yes.
know what it is.
We
I
go
knew
to
we-
Voyager.
I knew we'd get there eventually. Voyager, I have a love-hate relationship with, but that's okay. There's a lot to love, and I'll find some good ones.
Who would like to do Who would like first dibs?
I think Hammer should go first.
I just went. I don't want to go back to back.
But the last shall be first. It says that in the Bible, so it's you.
Yeah, but I'm not Catholic.
You see what I mean? BP.
Huh?
Why?
I thought BP starts out the
I
chain.
can-
Yeah, she does. You're right.
Do let Brian Press.
She's
do
the
it.
leader. It's her show.
Let
It's,
TP do it. Yeah.
That's right.
Let
Well,
her do the
isn't it a
fight.
good
let us
thing
defer
that
to
I've-
command.
Isn't
She's
it a
gonna
good?
pick the good ones, though.
Isn't it a good thing that I've already decided what my Voyager picks are then?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Because I knew like this week. I'm like, this is our last Deep Space Nine thing, so I need to start thinking.
Yeah, but don't tell us until Friday. That way you piss everybody off.
No, I'm not.
Like I did.
I'm not a jerk. Well, you're not a jerk either. But
Yeah.
I'm just.
All right. What are your picks?
So, my picks
No,
are.
don't tell the world. You can tell us, but don't tell them.
Why?
Make them come back and see on Saturday.
Okay.
I wouldn't tell them.
All right. We'll put it in the DM.
Well, I'll
you
tell you
wanna
guys.
know,
I'll tell you guys in the.
We'll
after
see you
show.
next Saturday.
Okay.
But yes, I do want to thank everybody for watching, and we always hope that you enjoy the wonderful Star Trek discussions.
Join us for our voyage into Voyager next week.
Also, join us tonight at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central for Minions of the Zoo, because Skep is taking over for Reject,
I sure as hell
and
am.
I am there.
Absolutely.
So, and then tomorrow, Irate, you have an ice
That's
cream
right.
interview.
Ice cream with Pincalo.
Oh,
Pincalo,
Pincalo's going to be on tomorrow?
The
Yep.
driving ape man himself. Yes. Yeah.
Well, that should be annoying.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Got an interesting. And the week after that, I've got P Dog Night. lined
Oh,
up,
nice.
And I've got a couple of irons in the fire.
Very good.
So we'll see what happens.
And then, of course, after the ice cream interview at 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow is the Blind and the Special. So be sure
Right.
to catch that.
On the Hate Tornado channel,
Yes.
The hate tornado.
you know, you might actually.
I love
get
the
more-
icon.
Yeah,
Far do that.
Far is just
Isn't she
Dax,
amazing?
Dax asked her, and she came through.
that's awesome.
It fits.
Yep. Well, my friends,
Hate Tornado.
thank you all for watching, and come by the Minions of the Zoo tonight and IR8's channel tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's correct?
Correct.
All right,
Correct.
cool. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you all next Saturday for more Star Trek.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Diddle-oods.